Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jankyard. I'm your host, as always, the Treatment, and it's been a while. It's been a little bit of a slow year in terms of tournaments. We've got AIL currently going on, but other than that, yeah, it's been very peaceful. Mostly just Phoenix League and First Five League, with a couple of things here and there. But the new excitement, the new hotness is Legendary Knockout Arena draft. And this is something that is being run by Carl, our favorite local tourney, and best player and best deck builder, history Hall of Fame community member. And he put together something that's really, really fun. I had an absolute blast doing my picks. And today we are going to cover the picks for every player. And we're going to reveal what each player has access to for the remainder of the Swiss rounds. We've been able to play one game so far. I think there are three more, and then a top cut. And I'm really excited to see what people chose. I think the list is also in the order they chose, which is kind of interesting. We'll get to see sort of what inspired them from their first or second pick onward. And yeah, I'm really thankful to Carl. I've been enjoying the limited events that have been run lately, by Carl, by Brian, by Dijon, Lex, and a few others. It's just been really cool. AIL is also very cool, and ideally I'll be streaming some of those top cut games as well. So yeah, let's jump to it. So first of all, let's see who's in chat. We've got Shadow. What's up, Shadow? Fred. Carl's in. And I think Fritzy will be joining later on as well. And so what I've done, I'm going to pop it over to the spreadsheet. I hope this is large enough to see. I believe I'm at maximum zoom here. I've blanked out the entire thing, so I'll just be able to reveal one player at a time. Hopefully this is easy enough for you guys to see. I could probably zoom in on my browser one more time. That should be good. Let me know in chat if my volume sucks, or if you can't see anything. Shadow, I don't want to hear a comment from you. And because there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players, if I spend no more than 5 minutes per person, that's still going to be an hour. And it is late. So let's try and do this a little bit quickly. Feel free to comment, and say what you think is something I miss if I don't see a combo or fun synergy or whatever. But we're just going to get to it. So if I do this properly, I will be able to reveal all of Shadowfire's picks. Boom. All right. So here we go. I'll make the column a little bit bigger. So, very interesting. His first pick. Oh, I undid. Well, whatever. His first pick is Tristan, which is really cool. That's really interesting. That he got Phoenix Born first. That sort of puts you in a certain direction. But I mean, it also gives you access to Tsunami Shot, which in a format that, removal and AoE are both at a premium, having Tsunami Shot is super good. So that's cool. And then insane that his second pack had Golden Veil. Again, in terms of cancellations or defensive cards, that is an incredible pick. So really strong start. Then he gets Cloudburst Griffin. Very nice conjuration, although it doesn't necessarily pair the best with Veil or Tristan. Doesn't get any magnify value, and it puts you in 3 colors, but still, like, it, you can easily make 2 or 3 decks in the Swiss rounds, and so having these options are really cool. And then Stand Still, that's pretty good in color with Griffin and gives you some bypass, which could be tricky since premium or removal again is at a premium. Lightbringer, and then Sonic Swordsman. That's I don't know how these got passed up. I guess that's round 1, 2. That's round 3. That's crazy to me that he got both of those in packs. I That's wild. So good. It's in divine. I think this is even better almost than like the other two, but this puts him in a really solid divine set, and he just splash for the veil or splash for the sympathy. So good. And then wing lioness to back it up. So he's got a super good board. He's got stock, he's got exhaustion, he's got everything. This is crazy. And then it gets even more ridiculous. Glory aspirant. I don't know. I mean, in draft, Glory is like a terrible card in terms of picking early, so I understand why it went this late, because you don't know if you're going to get any divine cards, much less divine power sides. But the fact that he got it afterwards, after having Sonic, is really, really nice. Dealer's Choice is pretty interesting here. I think it's actually a good card in draft because, again, it's exhaustion and it can lock down one of your opponent's books. So it interrupts their synergy, which might not even exist. Pride, that's a card that can be tutored by a Glory and gives you more stock, which is cool. It also could buff Terror Herder, which is really neat. Radiant Leviathan, Carl couldn't spell the card, but not the strongest pick. I mean, it's got the time link and the sympathy, so I can see that. It obviously is good in general in Tristan, but I think it's probably a little bit harder to actually get off the go for the picks so far. Enchanted Violinist, so now we're starting to see a little bit more of the charm, which is, it's okay. Power through, so some. And I think there's going to be a hard time getting some reach. And so Power Through is an interesting card, especially because it's really good with Sonic, but also you could put it on Linus and guarantee that you're getting some of that damage, and also being able to get the bigger kills. So that's really cool. And then Excavate, so another time card in his set, and 3 damage, and the ability to filter through your deck, I think is really, really good. And then we've got Return to Soil. So, I mean, he could either go for a little bit of the burn reach, or he could go for the mill reach. And Return to Soil is just that's a card, like, if you don't have access to some recursion, Shepherd of Lost Souls, that type of thing, this could really impact some decks, especially since I think, at least in my picks, allies felt like they were at a premium. So that's pretty cool. And then Temple Elder, it's a card. Admonisher, it's in Divine. It does give him reach. I could easily see a world where he plays the 3 books, and then pulls in Admonishers for like endgame, possible. And then, well, okay, so I talked about the Leviathan not being very good, but he gets Time Hopper to boost it, which is pretty hilarious. And yeah, if you get focused hoppers, then you're already getting the tokens that you need. So I can't believe he's got this synergy. Crystal Archer, again, very nice divine. This is insane, man. I can't believe you got, like, you could build easily like a super strong deck, even a competitive deck, honestly, with a bunch of these. Like, it just somewhat doesn't jive. Nothing jives really with Magnify, but like, what kind of crazy picks are these? And Wave Crash, holy jeez. And then a Jericho, okay, as a second Phoenix Born. Blink is kind of cool here with, like, with Sonic for sure. It's not like, I guess with Griffin it would also be good. There's nothing else that it really screams out to me. I think Tristan is probably the better pick. And then Stasis, which is another defensive card, and it's also a tempo card. So yeah, this is a strong draft. I've never really played like tons of draft in other games or anything. This is really strong. This feels really, really cool. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh yeah, Crystal Archer. I forgot is a magnified target. You're right. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Terra is, but you actually have to buff it first before it does anything. So like, I think the timing of it will be a little bit tricky. And the only thing that really buffs it is Pride, unless you're just going to do a manual um, Divine Die. But I mean, it's an option, right? And the fact that you have options in this deck is probably, I'm assuming, better than some people. We'll see what they're like. So yeah, that's really crazy. That looks like a very very strong list. All right, let's move on to Maddie B. So let's. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. So let's do this again and reveal. All right. Oh, I definitely did something wrong. There we go. All right. Well, the first pick I can see just because of the text. Cerulean Diver. Super good. All right. So that's nice. That's a really strong pick. I think, I mean, it's just in general a good card because it allows you to put, shuffle some cards down to the bottom that might not be good for a given matchup. And also being able to have a book that you want to focus is really strong because it means if you don't get any other good picks, having 3 divers is sweet. And then Matt gets his card. He gets Odette, which is awesome. I could easily see why anyone would pick that as a first pick. Sorry, I forgot what I did with. I don't remember what I did, but I can't fix it now, unless I. Does this fix it? Yeah, whatever. Interesting. He also picked Victoria and then Keepsake. So like, right off the bat, you get 2 completely different looking decks. Both have ping, which is going to be very good. Odette is got refresh. It's got hard removal, which is super strong, and then an Essence Druid. Okay, so I mean it's got sympathy, and it's a hard unit to get rid of, and redirect, which is really nice for Victoria and Odette's small battlefield. And if anybody's working on a combo deck, that is super clutch to have. Yeah, Odette is super crazy. Victoria with the Keepsake and Magnificence is really good. This is starting to look nice. Gates Defender, okay. So probably more. I mean, honestly, I think alert units are also probably just a premium. I didn't mention that for Sonic, but having alert units in this format is really good. Having a reaction, I like Gates Defender as a unit, and then being able to slot it in to Victoria or Odette with the tempo is really nice. So he starts now pushing into some illusion sympathy backflip. So self clear I think is valuable, and being able to buff to get your attacks up where they need, that's really nice. Sunshield Sentry doesn't currently jive with anything, but it's a good unit. Call Upon the Realms. So this is nice where like if he decides to go, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, in theory, like 5 color split. That would be useful. But it wouldn't be like my number 1 pick. I'm curious to see what else was available that he could have chosen. But Whisperer. So now there's a real strong illusion, and this is reach, which is cool. And then Juggle for hard removal. And I think Juggle will actually be pretty good in this format. Night Song Cricket, interesting. I'm not sure if it will be that good. I can see it. I mean, it'd be annoying. I don't necessarily see any synergies so far. I definitely prefer the Whisper and Cerulean Diver, but it's nice to have a 2-1 option. Steady Gaze is pretty good, and this is beginning to look like a strong potential illusion build with a lot of removal, and so that's really good. So really it's just like, where's the punch coming from? Because it's looking more like a control deck for endgame, and then just sort of chipping away. The backflip would probably be some punch, especially with the tempo of Gates Defender. And then the burn is, and spin down is the reach. Knowledge Seeker really would only pair in the Sentry deck. Doesn't give you too much, but it's an ally. Shroud, okay. So Shroud is a little bit more interesting if there's another conjuration that packs a little bit more punch. It could be used with Night Song Cricket, but you definitely wouldn't care for it with Whisper or Diver. Dream Fracture, that's really nice to pair. There's your like burn and mill end game between this and Whisper and the rest. Rose Gardener is nice. Memorialize, okay, so you could do like that, but there's not. He doesn't really have allies other than like the knights. Um, so you don't have cheap allies. So not probably the option there. Standard Bearer and Koji though, that's pretty cool. Because Wolfpack Leader is just good, and Standard Bearer. So that could be a more aggro deck, which is neat. So he actually picked 3 Phoenixborn. I wonder if this was more of a hate pick. 22nd pick. It feels more like like there was probably nothing else, and that was more of a hate pick. Moon's Blessing is interesting. I mean, he's also got Essence Druid, so you could be really playing for the Whisperer and Diver focuses. I think that's probably a really clutch card, and it could also buff them up a little bit. And then Majestic Titan, which I know Matt said he played today, and he said, and I think in his words, it's just a better hippo in draft, which I can easily see because you have the refresh built in and a higher attack value, which is pretty cool. And then Remorse, which leans into the mill sort of or fatigue plan. So that's kind of cool. I think he's got like super strong removal, and the allies are a little bit like on the lighter side, but because he's got these triple like the 2 books that you want to triple focus just for cheap units out there, and then he's got an actual end game plan built into basically all of his choices. That's really cool. I'm curious to see if he ever plays Night Song Cricket or if he just goes like with the Majestic Titan, just for one big unit to do some punching. And the backflip, unfortunately, because he doesn't really have allies that you'd want to, it's mostly maybe just a one of to get rid of like an Essence Druid that hangs around that you don't want, because Sun Shield Sentry has Alert, and the Knowledge Seeker you probably don't care. So yeah. Oh, and the Rose Gardener, right? But still, I think it could be interesting in a Koji deck. The backflip, that would actually be, you could play Wolfpack Leader, backflip, like you get your wolves out, then backflip it to buff one of them, and then to play another Wolfpack Leader. That's hard. That's really hard to deal with. So that's very cool. All right, moving on to Dura. I'll move this over a bit. All right, there we go. I'm gonna mess this up again. I don't think I can unselect that. Can I? There we go. All right. Ooh, okay. There we go. First alt card. So alt art, Anchornaut, and Summon Fallen. That's just nice synergy right off the bat. In this format, being able to have multi-drop units, or in this case, cards like Fallen, I think is really good, because you don't know what you're going to be able to pick. So even if you can only get a couple allies, that's really strong. And then Fire Archer and Bloodchains to boot. This is like a nice little pocket right here. But then to have Herald on, knowing that you have access to Full Moon as just a ready spell slot that can buff the Fallen and buff the Anchornaut, this is really cool. And Bloodchains gives you the reach, or the bypass, as well as feeding the Fallen. This is like a really nice, solid first 3 picks. Massive Growth is interesting because it gives you some power to add for the punching here, and it's only like putting you in a second color so far, so that's really cool. Rosefire Dancer, okay. Rosefire Dancer could, like it's easy to get it in for the bypass for the Massive Growth, so I think that's really neat. Sorry, did I Standard Bear? Oh, Rose Gardener. Sorry, I was thinking. I think I messed up my thought on Rosefire and Rose Gardener. Yeah, so that's good. Nature's Wrath. Okay, so this is This is really good. This is good for both his own self clear, but also AoE is at a premium. There's only what, 3 AoEs in the game? 4, I guess, if you include, or sorry, 5 if you include uniques, because you've got Astria. Oh no, Astria, Xander, and Cole. But otherwise, there's only Mist Typhoon, Meteor, and um, and Wrath. Right? Everything else is 2 ping. I think that's right. So super nice picks. And then to back up, he really got nice color sort of like depth here. Spectral Assassin is really good with Anchor Knot, and that's just a nice pick. It also gives you the draw into your other options, which is super cool. And then he was able to back it up with some beef. Umbral Acrobat, that will really help against 0 units. It's a unit guard. It's a nice ally. It puts you so far basically into 2 colors, ceremonial illusion with a splash of nature. Really, really nice. And then you got strengthen anyway. So I mean, if you're gonna pick Harold, I don't think you care for strengthen. But maybe this could. I don't know what his other Phoenixborn is gonna be. So that's pretty cool. Oh, Rapture. You're right, Shadow. Thank you. Yeah. Biter. I'm curious. I guess Biters is probably a little bit better in this format with, like, unless you're against Odette or Aerodel, or the one whoever ends up getting Ice Trap, having that bigger unit guard isn't too bad. I don't think you really care for it in this so far what I've seen in the deck, but it's nice. Ensnare is actually quite nice here. It's both burn and removal. Butterfly Monk. I would pick Butterfly Monk over the others. This has got a lot of cool stuff. Crimson Bomber. Oh my god, another solid pick from Dura. This is like just synergy galore. And then Ink Spill, as more bypass for his horde of fullest moon wide swing. Super cool. Blood Shaman, great target for the what was it called? The Blood Chains. And like, just a jump block that feeds Fallen. Really cool. Undying Heart, I don't think you really care. Maybe on Umbral. Probably not something that you're really going to use, and you don't really want to splash into to Charm just for that. Lulu is a nice pick. Lulu is really cool. It gives you a completely different look in this case. I don't think the token is going to help with anything, but having access to Phoenix Barrage is pretty neat. I think honestly Herald though is the pick here. Very solid. And then Regress, takes down some of the bigger threats, or like slows them down, I guess. Sleeping Bear, okay, yeah, that's a big threat that he has access to. Shadow Strike is one of my favorite fun cards. So cool. Oh, okay. There's the synergy. Ember Root Lizard. So there, all of a sudden, that actually is basically like her second unique. That gives you a lot of options. And then Augury. So he's got 2 pretty cool flexible decks here. Really good picks. Very, very good. I like it. Well done. All right. My picks. I got some good stuff and I got some fun. All right. So I started strong with River Colossus. I figured it was good in this format. Built-in bypass, built-in night kill. Just it was a solid pick. And then Blood Brawl, I figured AoE and ping was going to be valuable, and having a big unit to tank some of that damage would be good. And then figures, again, removal and defense is going to be hard in this format, so pick that up. I don't remember what the choices were. And then Phoenix Attendant, I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to get wounds. I'm sort of playing into the wound game. Boom, done. Stormwind Sniper, I started to already see like my ceremonial illusion thing, and if there's no or very little AoE, then this is both a good defense, and it helps with a little bit of reach with the burn. And then I picked Alfred's worst Phoenixborn, Saria. Again, in this case, my thought was like, okay, gives an end game option in with Heart's Pull, but also Raven I think is just really good in this format. You have Ice Trap built in for a bunch of conjurations, and there's only going to be one Ice Trap out there. And then it also has Quick Strike, so that seemed really good. I also didn't know so far. I was like in a couple colors. I didn't know what I was going to get, so I figured having a basic sync option and willpower, like just it gave everything. And then I picked the alt Fire Archer, mainly because I wanted the alt art, but also because I wanted to reach. I thought it was really good. And then I was like, okay, well now I'm in Saria, so Three Eyed Owl. It like if I'm playing any sort of late game, this is gonna come in clutch. And then I got Iron Worker because I had the worst picks. I think I even said, Carl, what the heck am I getting here? Guilt Link, I think, is probably pretty good in here. I don't know, like, in my list, if it's any good. I started thinking, like, okay, if I'm playing Saria, I want some self sack, and it could definitely help with removal. It's interesting on, being able to clear out, like, the Three Eyed Raven. So that, was an option, or clearing out a hippo. But then I got Sally, and I was like, oh, perfect. This is exactly the target you want for it. So I was super happy. I was surprised that Sally went this late. Like that's one, two, three, four, five, sixth pick. That seems very deep for a 2-for-1. I'm really surprised with that. Yeah, willpower is good because only one person has Fate Reflection. You're right, Fred. Yeah, totally. Um, yeah, that was a little bit surprising. And then I was like, okay, adrenaline rush. If I'm playing hippo, why not? You gotta love it. It also added into the whole like blood brawl wounds thing, and it could also be really cool on Raven. And if I do the commentary of my game versus Charlotte, that came in clutch. And then Ruby Cobra. I don't know how this, yeah, but Sally hasn't fallen off in terms of a draft format. Like, I don't know. I think a 2-for-1 unit that is a defender, that is a cheap conjuration in one of the better colors is a good unit. And when I've seen some of the other picks like that weren't necessarily the most synergistic, I'm surprised that that wasn't picked. But then Cobra just easy fit. Super super nice. So I was happy with that. And so then I started being like, okay, well, I'm obviously I need a mill option. So Memory Theft was my mill and burn, and it combines with Fire Archer, it combines with Three Eyed Owl, combines with everything. So I was like, cool. And I think this is where I asked Carl, would I do a safe pick in Rose Gardener and I don't remember, or Psychic Vampire and Infuriate? And I was like, obviously Psychic Vampire leads into the mill, but it gives me an ally, which I kind of wanted. And Infuriate Hippo, yep, sounds good. And then I got Ramia, which is super cool. Second, really great option. Gives me access to Ancestral. I'm also curious with like the fact that you know I have Infuriate and some other stuff. This could easily be like a 1-2 Delver split. Um, I think I have some options here. I haven't really thought about a second and third deck, but I thought that was a pretty good one. And then Chant of Transfusion was like a gimme. I was like, okay, crazy. I have all these wounds and stuff. I have very little ping. Boom, done. Imperial Ninja backed into that for the mill plan. Reclaim Soul was really nice as self sack with Saria, but even with Ramia, with Ancestor Spirit, being able to stay on top of health was really cool. Blood Puppeteer, 2-for-1 and some burn, and nice with my Guilt Link or Reclaim Soul. Amplify paired right into Sally and Ruby Cobra, super sweet. And then it just dropped in my lap. Carl's combo. I've got Summon Dreadwraith, Serve the City, and Infuriate. Yeah, it was like okay. I Summon Dreadwraith he gave to me. It wasn't a pick. It was just like you have Dread Wraith, and then my last pick was Serve the Sage. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, this is gonna be fun. I think I easily have like 2 or 3 decks that I can build, so pretty excited about that. And then Charlotte's, I know what she picked just because I played her in round one, and it is a sweet list. All right, so without further ado, we've got Emperor Lion, which is really nice, not least of all because it's in Cole, her second pick and her favorite. So lucky that she got that. I don't know what's going on with oops. Can I whatever. Um just yeah, really, really nice. Having an alert unit, having a really strong conjuration off the start, paired with Cole, really, really good. Just nice off the bat. And then she got Undaunted, which is pretty good if you're gonna play Lion, to make it big and beefy and refresh it. But she also got Huntmaster, which I was like, okay, solid picks here. You've got like a nice 3 color combo. And then she got Shepherd, which is great. Rally the Troops is, I think, an interesting pick. Um, I'm not like, there's no bad card effectively once you get Cole. Everything is ping, but being able to make up for Cole's low life is really cool, and being able to recur the things that recur your other stuff, because then she also got Scald. Uh, Crazy good. Crystal Armor fits in, at least the divine side of it fits in with some of your stuff. Um, but nothing too crazy. But she then also had Echo, so like you could, she got her 2 favorites. Like, this is a win-win for Charlotte. So good, so many options, and got Royal Charm. I think this is probably a good, like, not a hate pick, but a good protective pick, because it doesn't really pair with anything else all that nicely. But I could see it being like okay, like hedge your bets because you don't know what else is going to come up, and the likelihood that someone picked Paladin early, not if she hadn't already seen it, pretty good. Wishing Wing, like, it's unfortunate that there was no token generation, but I think even just Cole getting 1 card around and having a cheap summon, um, pretty good. And then she eventually drew into Snapper, which is just nice synergy. The Siphon is, I think, interesting here. It didn't do a ton in our game, but being able to shut down reactions if you're outside of illusion, being able to, as Cole, because you're already going to be using so much stuff for slash, you don't want to necessarily also meditate everything. Having this as a late game, like a 3 of draw into, is really nice for your plan B. False Demon, pretty solid pick. Good conjuration, gets you ping. Then she got James, which I didn't know. So 3 Phoenix Born. I mean, you could do stuff here. So far, she's really only got the Shepherd that's cheap. But Soulfire is really good. And then Heal is nice for Cole and James, because it makes up for the fact that you might summon some expensive stuff. Immortal Commander, not the craziest pick, but it can help with some of your lower impact stuff, and the fact that she got to accelerate with it is pretty crazy. So between that, and then she gets her favorite card, Particle Shield, which is like, you're drawing cards for Cole, you're slashing a ton, you're doing Immortal Commander swings. Like, that was just a nice synergy. Pretty cool. Railroad Recruit. So now you're getting into, like, I don't know, just probably the last sort of picks. It's not the best, but it does at least do something. It's a 1/2 unit. Mortal Commander can buff it. You know, it's okay as like some chump block. Gornrock Brawler, when you have Scald, you gotta eat it. All good. Flash Strike is good with the Wishing Wing and the Snapper. And then Weeping Spirit, which is whatever. And Disengage. Disengage, I'm curious whether this gets any play. I'm not sure. You don't have like a ton of allies you really care for, but that's interesting. Yeah. So she had like a lot of just really solid stuff and put a ton of pressure. I really do want to cover that game. It was such a wild game. So cool. All right. So Fred, let's get there we go. And let's see what Fred's picks were. Oh, okay. I messed that up. Let's undo. Raptor Herder. Okay. There we go. All right. Um. Oh, Wishing Wing got very unlucky in the pack randomization, stuck in the same pack as Tidal and Time Hopper. Yeah, that's rough. And I'm guessing Gilder probably went early. I know I had Gilder, Lightbringer, Hippo, obviously. Like that first pack of Conjurations was stacked. All right. So Raptor Herder, solid take, 2 for 1. Just a good card. Fate Reflection, really nice here. Protects against a lot of stuff. Solid picks. Adapted on. Oh, what a surprise! Can't believe Fred. Everyone seemed to get like at least one of their sort of classic picks, and really good stuff. So that's really cool. And Frostbite, you're giving yourself a plan B, fits in color, with everything so far. And then a Realm Walker. I think this is going to be really tough to deal with in this format. Um, yeah, and to have Fate Reflection backing up the Realm Walker, and then the summon, yeah, oof, and then gets Frost Frog. Ooh, wow. Glad he didn't get like Tristan or Rin, did he? No, spoiler, he did not. Mirror Spirit. Okay, so this stretches you in like another color. Technically, I mean, Herder is sort of in there. Maybe okay. Battle Seer is good here in color, sort of. But Alert and Quick Strike, I think, are just good, and having a Knight option is very good. Ancestor Spirit is a nice sort of pick, but depending like what kind of deck you're building to be able to filter through is is okay. I think honestly though, Adaptodon and Frost Frog are your backbone, and then if you're depending on what Phoenixborn you'd end up getting, Frostbite would be your third at least draw into. Two Shadows. Wow. So now you got your hard removal. You're really nice in either time or illusion with the Realm Walker. Mayoni. Okay. So gives you Silver Snake. Boom. Easy. Done. Molten Gold. Okay. So now that's almost like a protecting your own Realm Walker. It's good night removal, but it's also like one of the only options other than Excavate that can deal with and Steady Gaze, I guess, that deals with a Realm Walker round one. Uh, and forever, I guess the one person who got Ping Fester. But yes, Fate Reflection, and same with like Xander or whatever. So that's interesting. Transmogrify. Okay, so nothing other than Adaptodon. I guess that it's okay. Demona. I am shocked that Demona went this late. Really, really shocked. I saw Carl posting earlier conversation he had with Brian, and I think basically the same way. If you just if you had no good ally, you're in the whole thing. Just playing 3 dice for Dragon is probably in and of itself good enough. And then you also at least have like you could do a 2-1 split, so you sort of already have a knight with Rayward. That's crazy to me that went that late over some of these other picks. I don't remember if I ever saw it, but yeah, wow. That's I'm curious what people chose over Demona earlier on. Survival of the Fittest. So AOE uncontestable, really good. He has Adaptodon at the very least, which has a built-in alteration, so you're going to protect yourself. He could easily play aggro and then just wipe the board. That's kind of nice. Ocean's Gift. Oh, okay. So Ocean's Gift now with Mirror Spirit is a potential, and it gives you draw. That's pretty cool. And then Tidal Crab. Oh, all right. So there's actually now very crazy. He just all of a sudden backs into two decks that are pretty strong. But he only has, I guess neither of these really fit Mayoni in particular, but okay. Still, he's got the stuff there. String Mage is interesting in this format. I think that could be like it could be a pick. You don't have a lot of ping, so that's nice. And then Indiglo Creeper. Okay. Wow. So you just have the combo here. That's pretty nuts. Grave Knight doesn't fit with anything. Open Memories though. Be, being able to do your creeper, that's crazy. And your Mirror Spirit. Wow. What a these last like whatever it was 6 picks. That's crazy to back into. And then Sun Sister, not much. And outmatch whatever. Inflame though on a Raptor Herder is pretty good. And even on a Frost Frog, it can allow your big punch through. Especially if you're playing Mayoni, you play that on a cheap thing, you swing, boom, there's your bypass. Tidal Crab does boost Snake. Yeah, it does. That's true. It's not like I don't know. It's not the greatest boost, but it does boost. So yeah, it's true. Transmogrify was a bet hoping to find Undaunted. I can see that. Okay, cool. I think you have like more than enough strong options though. Transmogrify, I don't think you're gonna really need, but you have like a lot of other good stuff. Undaunted would have been sick for Snake. That would have been a real P in the D. All right, so here we go. Brankus. Right off the bat. Is everyone just getting what what they play? All right. Old Salt. I knew that had to be a first round pick. There's no way. I was hoping for it. But yeah, there's no way that would go. And Final Cry. Okay. Super strong picks right off the bat. And then to get Ruin Dweller into this is very nice. Very, very nice. Master Vampire and Hammer Knight is crazy. Like I think knights just in general are tough to deal with in this format, but to have stock, heal, and ping as options, and you're in the ceremonial, so good. Channel Magic is an interesting pick, and Angelic Rescue, probably weaker packs, but I think and like they don't fit in this synergy, but they could have been good picks for like a second deck. We'll see what happens. That's not an I. Will to Survive is very nice here. Heal, boost, whatever, and then to get Ceresaurus. Okay, so now you have like these three. This is pretty cool. Flute Mage is probably going to be pretty nice in here. You could do like Flute Mage Master Vamp. That's probably pretty nice. Or if you wanted to do 3 colors with Divine Nature and Sympathy, that's pretty cool. And then of course he gets his Jessa. Of course. Glaciate is one of the few like removal options, but it's also an interesting like I think it could be an interesting Ruin Dweller defensive pick. Like you're leaning on the burn option. You swing with Ruin Dweller, glaciate it, and then it just you're guaranteed the burn and to keep it alive for top of next round. It's kind of interesting. Or you glaciate and then you Xander the board. But he also gets Meteor. Okay, so now he's got some stronger Divine picks. This is pretty cool. You could easily do now. Well, I say easily. So far, there's not really a cheap mount, so that's a problem. But interesting options. Bone Crow. So Bone Crow. No, you can't. You can't really. Bone Crow and Jessa is like okay, but it's not great. Hand of Spear though. Okay, now we got some stuff. Recollect. You're not recollecting anything. That's Curious. I was wondering what the pick was there. Shifting Mist. Meh. Okay. Choke fits in with everything else, and this is probably a premium for shutting down some Phoenixborn's options. Then to get the double Dino, but no mounts. Nothing to mount it with. That's. I mean, you'd mount your like hand of spear, I guess, or flute mage. Not the greatest option. I guess you could mount an old salt. Maybe. It's definitely like really hard to deal with, so could be pretty good. And then, well, you can't mount a flute mage and then use it, so okay. Um, Holy Knight. That you basically have your Holy Knight Jessa. Other than whoever you play against who has Lightbringer, that's or I guess Shadow. Other than against Shadow, this is hard to deal with. Ritualist. Okay, there you go. So, I mean, Ritualist isn't bringing anything up, but it's your cheap mount target, so that's pretty cool. And then you could Cannon Shelter refresh your Archosaurus mount. That's funny. That probably cheeky. Well, he's only got. Oh no, he's got Xander. Right. I could see it. I could see it for sure. The strong start, I think, leans more towards the burn package. This is definitely like the second half of these picks is more of a not quite like it's more of a combo deck. Omenbringer, Cannon Shelter, Archie, and or Sarasaurus. Like you definitely more the one punch kill type of style of deck, which is pretty cool. Like the fact that you have two options. I like the fact that so far everyone's got a couple options. All right. So let's see Brian's picks. All right. So Brian went big and bold, got the Silver Paladin right off the bat. I am curious about that as a pick, as a number one pick. I guess it's like it's hard to remove no matter what. It's still good. Like it's still enter the battlefield that kills O2s, which are gonna be trickier to deal with, like any sort of zero anything wall or one of like cheapies. So it's still a great unit. Um I'm curious like what the other options in that same pack were and why he wanted to go for that. But then having Shimmerwing is really nice. I think Shimmerwing is probably very good and getting to Eternal Flame. Beast Tamer, one of my favorite units in general, but Alert and Tame, very tough to deal with. Mindfog Owl, so he's got at least a lot of charm synergy and refresh, bypass. Very cool. Piercing Light. Okay. Sorry, with less removal, its on kill will be more. Yeah, well, in general, there's less removal, but like I think it's also more. You have to pick when you're playing Paladin because you don't know that you're gonna have regress or royal charm. So I think it's just a trickier pick. It wouldn't be maybe in my top 5 picks. I definitely like some of the other picks so far better. But Shimmerwing I agree with. Piercing Light, okay. And Blessing of Lightning. Nice. So this is where like synergy could totally be a pain. Like you can buff your Shimmer Wings, you can buff your owls. This is really cool. And then a Root Armor Tamer. Other than Jessa and Odette, can anybody deal with that? I don't think so. I think that's pretty good. Um yeah, that's really good. Root Armor in general is going to be very good in this format. And then to get a refresh. Okay, so now you have refresh with your buffed stuff, which is really cool. And to get Sembali. Okay. This is a really good set. And then summon Steadfast Guardian. So Steadfast, Root Armor, if you wanted to, or Beast Tamer Root Armor, you are a brick wall. Really, really. And the fact that like there's no Paladin to take care of either of these two units, that's a brick wall. Really cool. Emberheart, I guess moves the Root Armor, but it doesn't do anything else yet, so let's see what's going on. Close combat. Okay, so we've got some nature cards, and it's good for like using again with the paladin. Just take out anything basically. Polarity mage. So I think he's really at this point hoping for like one other than root armor, uh one good other alteration. Embrace sucks. Auric. Huh. I guess I could see Auric being like, if you don't have synergies that are guaranteed, you want to be able to draw and you want to have endgame. And he didn't have, well, he picked Symboli, so like he already had a good, you've got Dark Reflection and Refresh. So maybe this was just like a second backup thing. Um, it's, yeah, I'm curious what his other options were, but okay. And then Shining Stag. Okay, so now you've got the whole like divine buff package. Super good. Ryle the Meek is very good with the Shimmer Wings. Not much else though. And then Law of Fear, which, yeah. So Brian has like a super control deck. Very, very, very strong. Era's End, I think, is probably more like a silver bullet against some of the decks. So that's that's interesting. And then you could play a Rhino. It doesn't really synergize with anything. Jungle Warrior is actually pretty interesting. It's not in color, unfortunately, but it is another refresh. And he doesn't really give tokens, though. He doesn't care about that. Beast Mage is another knight. And then Astria. Okay, so he's got really... How the heck did Astria go last? What? Astria was the last pick? That's... Oh, yeah, that's true, Fritz. Keeping Dark Reflection alive with Root Armor. Super good. That's surprising that Astria was last. Okay. Huh. I would have thought like just having access to Judgment and even, oh my god, it's too late. The other one. Those would have been good picks. I guess the 4 Battlefield could be restricting, but I'm surprised that nobody else chose that. All right, let's see Asterix picks. How am I? Okay, 11:30. Not the worst for time. What are we at? 54 minutes, and I've got 4 left. I could do it. All right. Asterix gets Twilight Alchemist and Reverberate right off the bat. That's solid. That's just good flexible sympathy synergy picks. Very nice. And then Generosity. Okay. Really guaranteeing your ability to find anything in whatever deck you end up building. And then you got Rin. Very nice. Shattering Fist, super good. Having defense, super good. So this would have been 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then once you draw into Shadowhound, that's tough on the colors right away, but Sandstorm Sage, and Shadowhound in Rin is pretty wicked. Like, you can easily get the focus now that you have all of this draw, and you can buff the Hound so it's not Nature, Wrath, or Earthquaked. This is very good. This is very good. And then Noah. Okay. So I can see arguments for both. I guess, so Fred, you played him. Did you win? I forget. I think you said you won. I am surprised that he would play Noah, but in this format, being able to shut down potentially someone's only good book, as well as like playing the tempo game with already 5 different sets of draw cards is interesting. I could see a valid reason for both of it. Not to mention, so far his only like conjuration was Shadowhound. Noah at least gives you Wolf. If you didn't know what your picks were, and you're like, okay, well, I'm either stuck on Twilight Alchemist and Shadowhound as my only 2 units. So having Wolf is like, yeah, you pick that. And then summon Fox Spirit. So like the book tax, you wouldn't probably play the two of them together, but being able to have some punch or night kill is pretty important. Confusion Spores kind of sucks in the rest of this, but Seeds of Regression is good. Hollow, okay, so now he's finally starting to pick up the units and staying in the Sympathy Illusion uh, place. I don't know like that it's great, but it does knock down power sides, which is good. Hidden Power, I don't think it does anything. He's already got so much draw. Celestial Knight though is beefy, good. Um, Dark Presence, I think it's actually not too bad. With like, if you were to play Rin, and so far you only have like 2 or 3 units, giving yourself bypass uh, is is potentially game winning, or your Celestial Knight. Radiant Light, I don't really see the synergy so far. Call to Action, that's his what, second charm card, so not great. But now it looks like he started like pivoting, because I think he sort of got his other cards. So now he started pivoting. He got Call to Action, Summon Doves, Leo, and Chimera Charmer, and then Bastion Badger. So all of a sudden, this is like, I would say from Radiant Light. I'm pointing at my screen. You guys can't see at all. From Radiant Light down, all of a sudden it's a separate deck, right? You've got your Charm. Red Flower doesn't really fit in too much anywhere here. I guess it's a cheap, not cheap. It's a refresh, but it's not really great. Um, Hypnotize, I guess. Hypnotize I'm not really sure what you would do there. Not great. Living Doll and Devotion. So you could do Devoted Doll. That's a thing. You could do Devoted Celestial Knight, Armored Knight. Try and get through that. So Asterix is like, it like started strong, but then it seemed like he didn't have a lot of options somewhere in the middle, and so then he had to pivot. And I think this pivot is a good pivot because you now have a mill sort of deck as a secondary option. But it's unfortunate that like he didn't get one other good conjuration uh or ally. I'm really curious whether Generosity was worth such an early pick. Twilight and Reverberate, I can agree on. Rin, I can agree on. Shadowhound, I can agree on. Uh, Sage with the Hound, I agree on. I'm just curious, like the Generosity and the Fox Spirit, and Confusion Spores, like those 3 picks. I'm wondering if he wasn't given any good packs. It's, like I guess we could quickly look. Ancestor Spirit, Echo, Ironworker. Yeah, this was the pack that I hated too. Spectral Assassin maybe could have done no, so there was no good pick in there. Refresh Will to Survive. So he needed a unit, and like the rest of us had previously. Yeah, it's a little tricky because I don't know I'm not gonna look at the order, but little he's missing like maybe 1 or 2 clutch units to really bring up the power level. Okay, so Fritzy, let's see what do we got here. All right. Oh, Jesus, messed it all up. All right, Fritz, starting with Rising Horde and Fork Lightning. All right, so Fork is obviously good. Rising Horde is a bold, I think, first choice. It's gonna be good in the format, but that's a bold first choice. Double class ally, 2 for 3 effectively is I'm curious what the rest of that pack was, but that's gonna be good. And then he got the Fester, so booyah. Okay, but now all of a sudden you get Sleeping Widows with the Horde, and you get Rowan with the Horde. You're talking really, really strong first 5 cards. So it would have been pair, and then Rowan and Turtle Guard. So this is like you've got the guard to last until you get the discoveries. You've got Widows and Horde, which are super synergy. Very nice. Squall Stallion is interesting. I guess it's sort of it gives you a draw, and it's a unit. I'm curious if that ends up working. Crypt Guardian though with Rowan, very nice. Double guard, big pain to get through, and having a built-in win condition with Chimera, very nice. Um, Air's End was in your second pack. Oh, so you had yeah, it would have been too bold to take Air's End because otherwise, oh man, that's rough. Yeah, I mean, you still like. I think these games will probably go a little bit longer because nobody had. Well, not nobody. Some people don't have full synergies, so Roan's super good. New ideas. Whatever this pack was, Confusion Spores, Ironworker. That was the shitty pack. that was that was the no good pack. Changing Winds though, in this case, I think is probably pretty valuable to get the extra draw, especially if you can't guarantee like Excavate or Generosity or anything. And then Anchor Knot, it's a ping, it's a unit, uh, works with Sleeping Widows, whatever. Uh, cool. Dark Reaping, okay. So self triggering, I think that's side action, right? Yeah, it's side action. Self triggering Horde into Widows for a big swing. Very nice. Blood Archer stretches the colors a little bit, but it's really like it's a pretty good round one, and I guess you could just do a single charm. Abundance though, okay. Well, all of a sudden you have your draw if you need it. I don't know that it. I'm curious what else, what. Okay, Fiona, it'll be good there. Reflections in the water, solution to every problem. If you don't have anything else, but you do have Fester, I'm pretty sure this actually will be a pretty powerful card in the format because if you don't have any other answers, Reflections stops everything. Also, Reflections Turtle, so much fun. Vanish is also probably pretty strong. I think it's probably stronger in the Fiona build than it is in the Rowan build, to protect her life. Um, but yeah, okay. Ash Spirit is gonna be good. Okay, so you have your charm and your control. Reaping Angle. Um, Blood Puppet. Okay, interesting. It's really too bad that I got the Amplify, and Brian got the Rile, because otherwise you could have a really cool little thing here. But Ash Spirit has the time cost, so you still got like a lot of stuff, and Fiona can refresh like Blood Puppets, for instance, if you wanted to go that way, which is kind of neat because a lot like self sack is at a premium, so those are probably pretty annoying to deal with. And being able to just pump out a bunch, and then honestly, Metamorpher, I haven't played it yet. I've played against it a few times. Is really good, really good. Fighting Spirit, probably you're not doing anything here. That just seems like a pick. Same with Sleight of Hand, Flash Archer, yeah. So unfortunately, I think these last four picks are not very good. But I do like Fiona, and I do like basically everything else above this. You have endgame in both your picks, both your decks. You have aggro, you have a ton of removal. Turtle Guard and Crypt Guardian are going to be a pain to deal with. So, you know, out of 23 picks, 19 are good, 4 are bad. Yeah. Not wanting to face Fighting Spirit, I can see that. I don't really think that's a concern. Um but okay. Like yeah, I guess like if someone was like lucking into it at the last, but like the first 19 picks are really strong. All right, Ginmin. Ginmin? Hinman? Jinmin? Does anybody know? Anybody know who they are? All I know is they're the new kid on the block, and they've been making quite a name. All right, here we go. Light Swordsman, very strong first pick. Yeah, Quick Strike and Ally and Divine, very good. Neil, nice. Hope, okay. Oh, but okay. So if I'm looking at in pairs, Hope and Vampire Bat Swarm, yeah, why wouldn't you? For sure, super good. Um, Absorption is actually pretty clutch. It it's gonna do double duty in terms of protecting your bat swarm, but also protecting Hope's life. G Man, no, no. Clashing Tempers, Fred, you missed out. Uh, so Clashing Temper, Absorption in the same pick. Okay, pretty good picks. Crescendo is really nice with bats. That gives you like you duplicate Crescendo, swing. Yeah, Bob's your uncle. Really nice. And then Shared Sorrow is easy night kill, and it's in very good sympathy synergy so far. But could also be like divine sympathy, maybe some. I don't know. The colors are a little stretched, but there's definitely a strong theme. Then Shadow Spirit works nicely with Hope. Okay, Dreamlock gives. So now we're starting to look like a slight. These are two slightly different pushes on a list. But there's a lot of aggro here, like Adept Duelist, Lightbringer, Double Down. Oh man, what? Okay, that's that's very good. This is very aggressive list. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Very cool. And Beast Warrior, um, pretty solid ally to back you up in this very strong, hopeless. I think Gates throw. Jeez. I mean, you don't want to Gates bats really, but Gates share Shadow Spirit is pretty good. Wondering what else they get into. Ghostly Mount. You really only have like what Beast Warrior. Nah, not the greatest. Darkwater Hunter. They're not really in time, so I don't think these picks are great. Resonance doesn't do anything for you here. Um, Small Sack is interesting. I think I think the pink could be worth it. You're you're in color. Uh, Again, it works with like self sack, but also with the bat swarm. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it being some value. Secret Door, okay. There's nothing. There's no like one punch kill here, so I'm not sure it really matters. But um, I wonder if that was more of a hate pick, kind of like a fighting spirit type of thing. I don't know if I'm crazy. I've always championed bizarre uses of strange copy. But I think this could be really good in this deck. You don't have you basically have no big units. Everything is small. Um so being able to even if if it was a one of being able to turn like a shadow spirit or a beast warrior into a knight that's swinging or a snake or a rhino or whatever, it's probably good defensive like one of. So that's interesting. Then you got Nominee. I think once you get Hope with Bats and Shadow Spirit, you don't really care. I'm not sure this matters. And then Summon Ice Golem doesn't synergize with anything. Swifty is like more tempo and also gets you the draw, so I could see it. And then at the very least, you're in ceremonial, so Rapture onto a Swifty or a Beast Warrior for AoE is an option. I mean, you could do the mounting thing, I guess, but I don't know that I would go that way. I see this top half being the stronger part of the deck. Very aggro. Okay. And then finally, we get to Mr. Mitchum's. Let's pull it over. Here we go. And we're hitting, what are we at? We're at an hour 10. All right. I'm not too bad, guys. All right. No, didn't. Oh, yeah, did. All right. Aerodel, Frostback Bear. Classics. All right. We're taking it back to 2023. And then Gilder and Flock Shepherd. So Mitch like messaged me and Fred and was like, "Oh, I think I picked terribly. I think this is like I'd be so happy with this. You got Gilder, which is incredible. You got Frostback Bear. I mean, Gilder is even more incredible that you got it in Aerodel, but then to have Flock Shepherd with it and Frostback Bear is a great classic deck. Like super strong, super good core, and then Mist Typhoon just it doesn't really fit in with the charm, but AOE like the at a premium, super good. Body inversion, I don't care for, and I don't know that it like. I guess it turns Bear into a 2/3, and it's a flex for matches where you know that your opponent has O2 units that are going to be a pain, or like X ones. No, 1Xs. Uh, so, okay. But he got the Ice Trap and the Farewell. This is very solid. I mean, this easily you have punch, you've got reach, you've got removal, super good, and Nightshade Swallow is actually big pain. I think, like as your third book. Yeah, yeah, Mitchums, you got it. You got a solid deck. Now Frostfang, that's a good ally, and to have it with hunting weapons is pretty good. And then you can tutor it with Forager, and Forager also pairs nicely with the Flock Shepherd. Shadow Guard. So I'm seeing basically right now like what, 2 charm, 5 nature, and 2 illusion, maybe 3 charm, 2 illusion. There's definitely a thing here. Crystal Shield is like, whatever. Prism Tetra, you're not gonna play it, but well, I say that it's actually interesting. You're not obviously getting the magnify, possibilities here, but having Prism Tetra, uh, well, no, because they can't defend, so they're useless with Flock Shepherd. They could buff Rejuvenate, but I don't think you really care. I think the first part is the core. Shield Mage is and Flock Shepherd. What are you gonna? No one else can do anything. I don't think, right? Like that's you're just gonna build Zookeeper like value, mid range value, round over round, and then you've got Wallop and hunting weapons to do your punching. And Farewell gives you the mid range, near reach. Like maybe yeah, you'd run 3 charm. 3 charm and you can deal with almost everything other than night. No, this is good. I don't know how you said this was a bad list. This is crazy. Fade Away is one of the only other removal options. Good. From Darkness, you don't have anything big necessarily, but you do have, well, 99 times out of 10, Shadow Guard dies. But you still have a bear, which, if you toss a wallop on it, that From Darkness is going to punch. Mist Spirits. Okay. So there's your there's your chump block and fill in for the rest of it. That's perfect. Cover is like Pain Shaman feeds into the nature, gives you ping, gives you a body, gives you something that's harder to remove for most people as a 1/3 body, and it's like counter to the Frostfang. Yeah, okay. I can see it.
Brennan. I don't think Brennan is doing anything here. Does Brennan do anything? Bouncy Castle is not doing anything here. Nah, unfortunately, in this, it's a terrible pick. Not like you were. I think this was the pick you're given. Um, I don't see you playing Brennan at all. Aerodel's the way to go here, and then Freezing Blast. I don't know. It's still a bad card, but if you're playing specifically against like I don't know Mayoni or Mirror Spirits, or like one of those decks, it could be a one of sort of Silver Bullet. But like this first half and even this middle section, very strong nature illusion with like a three charm, two to three charm thing here. You could just do farewells for two on the likes of, Ruin Dweller, Griffin, Vampire Bat Swarm, like those types of things are more than enough target for farewell. So very good. In like this is 12 decks. Guys, these are very strong decks. If I had to pick the strongest, I'm not gonna pick the worst because I feel like that's mean spirited. If I had to pick the top two strongest picks in my preference, I think Shadowfire's got he's probably got one of the top two picks. He's got everything. Like very strong deck. And then Matt's got a very strong set of cards. Dura's got really cool synergy. He doesn't no, and he's got Herald. Yeah, that's really good. It's hard. I don't know. It's tough. Like these are all very good. I think either Brancus's picks, Brancus, Fred, and Dura and Matt. Those four. I'm curious. I don't know. Odette is so strong and so good in this format. That's hard. Harold is really good in this format. I'd probably give it to one of these two guys. But Brancus has like I don't know how many people are going to be able to beat that type of burn. And Brian's wall, what do you can't pass it. So I don't know. So basically like the board is going to be hard to get past. I give it to Dura. I think these are the top three. I don't know. What do you guys think? Shadow's deck is insane. I don't think anyone can debate the natural synergy in all of this. Like it's just so good. Mid-range matchup wise, I think Mitch has one of the best mid-range decks. Um and was it Ginman? No. Ginman has the best like aggro deck. Fritz has one of the best like reaches in terms of just like there's some aggro, but then it's a hard wall. Uh, there's obviously the most burn in Brank, so that's like it's burn deck. Brian's got the most solid like defensive deck with Shimmerwing and some tricks with Blessing of Lightning. Fred's got the most combo-y deck, I think, of all, even more so than my deck, which is pretty combo-y. And then I know Charlotte's deck is good because I faced it. It's just Cole does cool things. Very, very good. Uh yeah. And Matt's got like not one deck, he's got two pretty good decks. I think Cerulean Diver and was it Wishing Whisper? Yeah, he's got both of those. That's pretty strong. It's a tough call. Yeah. Yeah. So Carl, you think Shadow, Fred, Matt? I think Shadow for sure. I don't know about Fred. I mean, Silver Snake is probably really good. Probably really good. I think Shadow, Matt, and Dura. But I could easily see an argument for Fred Fritz and Mitch. It's tough. Very tough. I'm really excited to see how these games go out. And it's open. So I'm away this weekend. But if you guys uh like during this week or the coming weeks want me to stream or you're available, or you know what, heck, even if you guys just send me the replay file, I want to do my game with Charlotte. I could probably get through those games fairly quickly because I'm not waiting on the players thinking, so I could just click through the slower parts or the you know natural parts more quickly, send them to me, and maybe that's what I'll do because there's sort of been like nothing to commentate for the last few months. So yeah, that's my pitch to whoever's listening or whoever watches at a later date. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about? Because it's midnight where I am, and we've gone for an hour and 20. So I think that's probably a good place to start. Yeah, if if Fritz had taken Era's End and then just lucked into the rest of it, that would have been a slam dunk. Um, but yeah, like really, really good decks. This is so fun. Honestly, I had more fun like going through the decks and brainstorming, and even when I was picking my own cards, thinking of like 2 or 3 different decks that I could build. Like, I don't know, Carl, you nailed it. And I'm excited to see how this turns out and who ends up on top. So yeah, if that is everything, guys, let me get this blinding white light out of here. Anything else anyone want to say? Oh, thanks, Carl. I'm number 4. Cool. I'm excited for the fun. I think I have like fun stuff to do in my deck. But yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, that's it. Okay, everyone. You know it. Say it with me. If you're not janky, you're stanky. Frog up, wolf down, and we'll catch you on the next stream. Have yourselves a good night, and send me those replays if they're worth covering on stream. All right. Have a good night, Fred. Yeah, it's really cool to see what people are. Yeah, cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. Ciao.